Here's why I'm still continuing to buy Algorand's native token called Algo, even though nothing I say is financial advice. Now, the reason why is because the way you take a look at it is that Algorand is arguably one of the best layer one blockchains of all time. And I think Algo, at the price of $5 during this bull run, wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I get it. $5 is around a 24x from here. So that may go both ways, right? Some people may be on one side where they're like, okay, that's never going to happen. That's too much. While on the flip side, some people may be thinking, okay, that's kind of bad. Take a look at this random micro cap that could maybe, let's say, do a 500x. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to the first point of view, like the people who may think, oh, this is too crazy, I'm going to address this first. Then I'm going to continue on and explain why, this isn't too bad in my opinion. Now, again, when I take a look at this, right, $5, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $43 billion. I mean, seriously, that's not even too much to ask for. Let's say during a fully fledged bull run, Bitcoin, let's say, reaches the price of around $300,000. Let's say at that point, the market cap, around a $6 trillion market cap. And then, let's say something like Ethereum goes to, let's say, around $2 trillion in market cap. Now that's combined just from those two projects alone, around $8 trillion. And keep in mind, $1 trillion is literally $1,000 billion. I mean, could you imagine that? That's kind of crazy because even 1 billion is already 1,000 million. So I think that, if anything, truly puts it in perspective as to just how massive this is. Or should I say the numbers are? So let's say out of $8,000 billion, are we saying around 43 billion of that can't flow into this during a fully fledged bull run? I'm not saying next week, next month. I'm not saying that. I'm saying during a fully fledged bull run. That wouldn't be surprising to me whatsoever, especially when I take into consideration how Algorand is actually, again, a very fantastic layer one blockchain. It's very fast, it's very scalable, low in gas fees, and the cherry on top is the fact that it is the technology of choice for over 2,000 global organizations, allegedly. Now, you got to take that into consideration. I get it, Dogecoin has more fans, more hype. I get it's a meme coin, but what has more substance? Algorand, of course, in my opinion. I don't think something can be a bad layer one blockchain and achieve stuff like that. It's just impossible. At least that's the way to take a look at it. So that's fantastic. Now that I've got that first point of view out of the way, or explain my, argument for that, let me continue on to the second part, which is some people who may be thinking, oh, it's not that much, man. Well, here's the thing. I don't think around a 24x is bad. I mean, anything for me over a 10x, I think is already hypothetically very fantastic. Now, it's going to depend on what people are looking for, because it's going to be different on a case-by-case basis. Because if, let's say, someone has like a $500 portfolio, maybe a 10x, that's still hypothetically, I don't think, a bad amount. But sometimes people may be thinking, oh, that's not too much. Well, here's the thing. I don't think Algorand, at least personally for me, is something that I would look for if I was looking for like a 1000x. But then personally for me, I believe that when it comes to what I'm looking for, when it comes to my parameters, I'm looking for something that isn't a dinosaur, like a Ethereum or like, Bitcoin, which they're not bad in terms of fundamentals. They're really good. But let's see Bitcoin going to the price of $300,000. It's slightly over a 3x from here. It's like, okay, cool. But that's not really going to excite me. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, I don't want a micro cap, right? So I'm not going to be looking for like a 1000x either. So what's a good balance in between? I think something like Algo, because it's a relatively proven project. Like, it's been showcased that, when the market does do pretty good, Algo tends to go along with the ride. We saw that back in 2021. We're seeing a small glimpse of that not too long ago, and we're seeing a little bit of that as of right now with the market having a pretty okay recovery, especially when it comes to altcoins. So Algo is not a project that's going to disappear. If it was going to disappear, it would have probably disappeared when Terra Luna was crashing or something like that, or when Bitcoin was, going down real bad, like after the 2021 bull run. But it didn't disappear, right? It's still here right now. And I don't see why it won't, around, let's say, after this bull run is even over. I think it's going to be around for a very long time. So it's not a project that's going to disappear. So it gives me good safety in that sense, while still also taking some risk, because I'm not entering, Ethereum or, Bitcoin, of course, right? But then it's a good balance in between. So I like that. So when people say 24x is bad, well, maybe if they are looking for a 1000x, but I don't think it's bad. And let's say I put $1,000 hypothetically into Algo, and let's say it were to do 24x. At that point, that $1,000 becomes 24 grand. I don't think it's too bad really, especially if like, let's say I hold a bunch of other projects and then they do pretty good as well. Like keep in mind, many people that I know out there, they're not just only holding algo, right? So even besides that point, I don't think it's too bad. However, even besides that point, when I take a look at Algorand, some people may be thinking, oh man, you know, there's too many layer one blockchains out there. This one's going to disappear. Well, no, again, I don't think it's going to do that hypothetically. And also something that really puts the cherry on top, I think, when it comes to Algorand is the fact that it has aspects of ISO 20022. Now, some people may be thinking, whoa, is that real? Well, hypothetically, arguably, from what I understand, yes, because it is that special. And the reason why ISO 20022 is so amazing is not only just because, something like Stellar and Ripple and XDC has aspects of that, but also at the same time, that right there is currently being used. Again, I'm talking about ISO 20022. That's currently being used by many financial institutions from all around the world for something called inter-organizational data exchange. So that's very amazing when it comes to Algorand. It's not something that really people expect when it comes to Algorand because Algorand really isn't this project that is well known for its focus on payments or global trade and finance. That's more so again for like Ripple, Stellar, XDC, right? But then the fact that Algorand has that in its toolbox, it has it in its arsenal, I think that's really amazing. I mean, this is the forward-thinking mindset that Algorand has, and I do really like that. I don't think I'm choosing the wrong layer one blockchain here. This is not the only layer one blockchain I believe in, of course, but I'm just saying, this is how amazing it is. And Algo at the price of $5, again, people may think it's crazy, but as the old saying goes, a high tide raises all ships. Again, if Bitcoin goes to the price of $250,000, $300,000, I think some of the attention could hypothetically flow into this, and also historically, it's been showcased that that is kind of the case. So I'm not going to give up. Now, it's just a waiting game at this point, really. That's the way to take a look at it, because I am not a day trader. I don't swing trade. That's not what I do. Some people out there, they wonder, oh man, why don't you pull up a price chart, draw some random triangles? Well, look, no matter what I draw on a price chart, I could draw SpongeBob, I could draw, Squidward, I could draw Brock Lesnar, I could draw Mickey Mouse. It doesn't matter. You think the market's going to listen to what I have to draw or pay attention to it? No, it doesn't care. The market's going to wake up when it wants to wake up. So when I pull up a price chart, draw some random triangles, it's just more so for show, right? It's more so just to look cool. But really, the market's not going to listen to that. I'd rather focus on the fundamentals. I'd rather focus on the exchange listings, which Algo is listed in a bunch of major exchanges. I'd rather pay attention to what the project is doing, what it's all about. I'd rather focus on all this type of stuff and not draw random triangles on a price chart. Because not too long ago, when the price of Algo was doing really bad, if I only paid attention to the price chart, I would automatically think, oh, this project's done. But then if I paid attention to the fundamentals, I would know that it's actually not done. And it's just because the market wasn't doing that good. You know what I mean? So that's the way to take a look at it. I'm just going to stay patient, accumulate more, hold, and I just wait because historically speaking, altcoins as a worst case scenario, they've been known to peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. Now, peaking around at that time is not a guarantee, but I'm going to pay attention to that nonetheless. And I just think that there's too many bullish factors for Bitcoin to just quote unquote peak at around the price of $100,000. So I think better days are ahead, but it's just a waiting game. The market's going to wake up when it wants to wake up. So I'm just going to stay patient and be prepared for that theoretically by accumulating more, holding, and just waiting. That's it, because $5 for Algo wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.